With Fontaine around the corner, I decided why not go over some of the things that I really want to see in Fontaine, either at launch or possibly throughout all of the 4.0 updates. Now, I'm going to keep out a lot of the copium stuff, like new floor levels in the Abyss, a better endgame, you know, things like that. It's not happening right now. Things that I feel are more grounded in reality that are pretty much a very big possibility that we can see. First thing that I want to touch base is on the design philosophy of all the new characters coming into Fontaine. Me personally, other than a handful of characters from Sumeru, like Al-Haytham, Hida, I feel like the characters did not really deliver. In my mind, the way I look at how the Sumeru characters are pretty much lined up are either you need C6 for the character to be either somewhat decent or viable, or even at C6, the characters are still drizzling shits. For example, I look at someone like Farazan. Farazan C0 is not a character. Farazan C3, C4, C5, you're kind of getting there. Farazan C6, bam, that is a character. Really don't like the design philosophy, especially with 4 stars when you can't sit down and actually target them. An example in my mind, what is a perfect 4-star, someone like Kaveh. Kaveh C0 is extremely viable and blow up all the Dendro cores, and his passives are great. If you're lucky enough to get him to C4, he then gets a massive damage bonus boost, which already insane because Dendro's broken in itself. Base kit of a character is viable, and they could be used in pretty much almost any Dendro team comp, and then their constellations are just elevating their skill set as opposed to their skill set being completely locked behind the constellation. Another design philosophy, like I mentioned before, for example, Dia. Dia C6 is not as good as C0 Hu Tao. And I know Hu Tao is amazing and probably the best power DPS in the game, but I mean, come on. A C6 should outrank a C0 character. It just doesn't make sense. Also, I don't see how Dia's kit fits into teams effectively. I'm not trying to sit here and shit on Dia. If you love Dia and you really enjoy Dia, that's awesome, and I got nothing but respect for you. Because realistically, you can make any character work, but the amount of effort and time you have to put into actually building Dia and finding a good team around Dia just makes no sense to me. A lot of people say, oh, well, you know, maybe we're going to get an artifact set that's going to make Dia 12 times better, or you never know, the Fontaine characters might really go well with Dia's kit. Let's just say that a lot of the Fontaine characters could potentially enhance Dia's kit. Why would you release that character 3-4 months out from when they're going to finally get their actual supports? Create this fear of I need to get every single character, even if I don't see possibility of using them with the current characters that I have now or the characters that are in the game. But 7 months down the line, they might drop one niche character that can pair with Dia, maybe should be valuable. And I just think that's not fair to do to your players. Number 2, I think this one's very fair. New Battle Pass weapon. I believe we have not gotten new Battle Pass weapons since the launch of Genshin, and we're in year 3. I mean, like, bro, I'm tired of going for the same, like, 2.5 weapons. I've actually stopped buying the Battle Pass and stopped grinding the Battle Pass because I'm over it. Like, there's no incentive for me to buy this Battle Pass anymore because I either have the weapons or I just don't want them because they're not fitting my playstyle or the characters that I'm using. Let's get some new weapons. I would prefer if they drop one weapon per each type, for example, 1 sword, 1 catalyst, etc. But I would take, let's say, if maybe they'll only add 2 or 3 new ones. Just give me something new to grind for, and preferably, if they're gonna shift the meta like how they did with Sumeru, make these Battle Pass weapons more geared towards the new meta characters, as opposed to just having them be really weird basic perks. I know that goes against a lot of the things that I normally say, where it's like, oh, you're making it too niche. Well, fuck it, give me something different. I just want something different to grind for in this video game, truthfully. Number 3, I know this is a little bit of copium in the odds of this happening at launch, but I could possibly see this coming down the line in Fontaine. Constellation toggling. People want their bennies back. Oh, no. Give us Benny, all right? If someone C6 Benny by accident, or, you know, their account got hacked and someone C6'd it because they're an evil human being, just let them click a button. Whether you gotta pay Mora, you have to pay some materials or something, let us take constellations off. Even past Benny, obviously Benny would be the best beneficiator of having a constellation toggle system. Bro, sometimes I don't want to go around and always kill everything in one shot with my C2 rating. I wouldn't mind taking the constellations off and then just throwing on like a level 1 spear and just seeing how far I can go with my level 90 rating. Like, I just think it makes the game more fun. I like to do challenge runs with my friends. Maybe you want to experiment. I don't know. Maybe you want to try C4 Casa instead of your C6, or legitimately you want to see the damage difference between Eula with C6 Benny and C5 Benny. Like, in my mind, this is the most basic and beneficial thing that they could do to the game, and it's just, I feel like we've gotten no communication about it at all. So I really hope that this is something that we get. 4, a more dark story. I know Genshin is more geared towards kids, and if you're not familiar with Honkai Impact III, Chapter 9 is considered one of the most wild and depressing games, and that's why they call the game Honkai Depression III. However, I do think that we have had some pretty much surface level baseline kiddie storytelling throughout Genshin. I love the story. I really, really love the story, but I also feel like nothing matters. Spoiler 3, 2, 1. The most depressed I've ever been when playing Genshin is when Teppy died. I mean, like, I'm not saying to kill off a main character or to like do so, although that'd be dope. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you, that'd be cool. But like, I don't know, I feel like there has to be some stakes at hand. Like, I want to leave Fontaine being depressed, bro. Like, make something a bit more, even if it's not depressing, make it a bit more edgy. Like, let's push the envelope a little bit. Another spoiler, 3, 2, 1. Although I really dislike that Dainsleif quest, that Hilichurl about to jump off the edge is like, oh wow, that is something I did not expect in Genshin Impact. Sidebar, this is kind of like a 4B. I don't think this should take up a full slot. We need less fluff. I love Genshin, and again, I love the story. Part of the reason why I barely do any of the world quests, or even a lot of the Archon quests take me forever to do, is because half the time, a bunch of the dialogue is just fluff. It's filler, and it's not needed. For example, Sumeru fighting Scaramouche. After you fight Scaramouche, the story does not have to go on for another hour and 20 minutes. They could have summed up the story within 20 to 30 minutes at most, but instead, you got the goodbyes, then you say goodbye again, and then you do this, then you do that, and it's just like, dude, it gets a little annoying. Like, the game is feeling like I'm reading an essay half the time. That's dope for certain parts of the game in times when it's needed, but then there's times when, even let's say that there's crucial dialogue or there's really something super important buried in a world quest, I feel like I don't even want to try to go to it because I'm so conditioned to just low-key not care. And maybe that's a me problem, I don't know. And then the last thing that I got here, I'm gonna butcher the pronunciation, I'm sorry. Arlecchino, again, I'm illiterate, I'm sorry. They have to be a playable character. They cannot do the Senora thing where Senora, you play Inazuma, like, oh my god, this is gonna be so amazing, I can't wait to roll for this character, and they're not available. There was no reason to not have Senora as a playable character. Amazing character design, everyone was hyped, kinda just let it fizzle out. Also, sidebar, they could have made tons and millions of dollars off of having her on a banner. Just throwing that out there. They didn't do that to us with the Wanderer. We were able to get Scaramouche as a playable character, so I'm really hoping that they're able to do that here. That being said, let me know what you think below, and what do you want to see in Fontaine? Just calling my name. So come on, baby, let's stop playing games.